The mahogany table stretched too long, polished so clean I could see the tremor in my jaw reflected back. The old man sat at the head, shoulders squared, voice steady enough to cut glass. He smiled at his 17-year-old son, my wife's half-brother, and slid a document across. 10 million in shares, he said, almost casually, like he was offering dessert. Laughter scattered around the room, sycophants choking on admiration. I clapped once, twice, hollow. Then his eyes pinned me, as sharp as a nail driven into wood. "And you," he said, "you can earn your own." The room chuckled. A performance, choreographed humiliation. My wife kept her head lowered, though I noticed the corner of her lip twitch, half smile, half shame. I didn't blink, didn't move, but my lawyer did. He stood, slid a sealed folder from his briefcase, and spoke with the calm precision of a surgeon preparing for the first cut. "I believe," he said, "there's a matter we must address before the meeting continues." The old man froze, and for the first time in years, I watched fear ripple through him. The silence in that room wasn't silence at all. It was thick, alive, breathing. He shifted, gripped his glass too tightly. What nonsense is this? I kept my eyes on him, cold, steady. But inside, a storm clawed at the walls of my chest. I had wondered, suspected, gathered fragments that never fit together. Late phone calls, my wife's sudden business trips, the old man's lingering glances at her, too protective, too intimate. It hadn't made sense, not until my lawyer whispered the truth to me weeks earlier. The company shares, the endless favoritism, the disdain. Not business, not bloodline rivalry. Blood. Real blood. She wasn't just his daughter. She was something more twisted, something that explained the shadows I had been walking through all along. The betrayal wasn't only hers, it was theirs. And now, as he began to sweat under the fluorescent light, I realized he knew exactly what was inside that folder. He was afraid, not of me, but of exposure. I didn't move that night after the meeting, didn't confront, didn't accuse. Instead, I traced the details. I became meticulous. Phone records, trips that didn't align. Payments from the company routed into private accounts I hadn't been meant to see. And DNA. Quietly collected, discreetly tested. Her toothbrush. A glass she left half-finished on the counter. His handkerchief, tucked too carelessly into a pocket. Every test confirmed what I already knew. The connection ran deeper than anyone dared admit. And it wasn't just a secret. It was a weapon. One they had wielded against me in silence for years. I spoke to no one. I smiled at dinners, kissed her cheek when friends were watching. But inside, I was cataloging every piece. Not rage, calculation. I knew this was not a truth to scream. It was a truth to unveil, slowly, deliberately, at the right moment. And when that moment came, there would be no raising of voices, only silence, the kind of silence that burns. The test results arrived in an unmarked envelope, clean, clinical, undeniable. I slid them across the polished oak at our kitchen table. She looked down, confused at first, then pale. Her hand trembled, crumpling the edge. "No," she whispered. But I didn't need her to speak. The truth was etched into every line of her face. Her father's truth. Her truth. I stayed silent, even as her lips parted, even as excuses tried to form. The old man had walked into the room then, arrogant as ever, until he saw the paper between us, saw her face, and then the arrogance drained, replaced by raw panic. I didn't shout, I didn't ask questions, I only leaned back, folded my hands, and watched them break. The next shareholders' meeting was different. My lawyer spoke first. With measured words, he revealed what I had uncovered. Not all of it, only enough. enough to unravel his reputation, enough to let suspicion stain his empire. Whispers turned into gasps. Investors stared. The old man rose, red-faced, sputtering denials. But the paper spoke louder than his voice. And she, my wife, stood frozen, eyes wide, as if the ground itself had betrayed her. I didn't gloat, didn't smile. I simply turned to them both and said, softly, "You gave me nothing, and now I've given you everything." The room watched them collapse beneath the weight of truth, and I walked out. There were no tears that night, no begging, no apologies, only silence. I sat alone, poured myself a drink, and let the glass sweat in my hand. I thought of the years wasted, the lies I had swallowed, the humiliation I had endured. But strangely, I felt no grief, only clarity. The old man had his empire, his son, his carefully buried secrets. Now he had something else, exposure, a stain he could never wash clean. And my wife, her silence was its own confession. I didn't need her words. I didn't need anything from either of them anymore. For the first time, I wasn't beneath their table. I was above it. And as the night settled into stillness, I realized something simple. Power isn't given, it's taken.